After spending 6 hours cooking for my husband's family, I was told to eat in the kitchen. "The table's for family only," his sister said, without flinching. My husband didn't say a word. When I asked him why later, he said, "Don't embarrass me. You know your place." I slept alone that night, staring at the ceiling, until I got a message that sparked everything I did next. I married Marcus when I should have listened to my gut. That voice that whispers, "This isn't right," when you're pretending everything is fine. But I wanted to believe in the version of him that I met, the smooth talker with a steady job and a perfect smile, who pulled out chairs and texted goodnight every single night. I ignored the little things. How he'd always check with his mom before we made plans, how his sister's comments always had a bite even when she smiled. I ran a catering business in Dallas. Worked my ass off to get it off the ground. Food is what I'm good at. I put myself through culinary school, worked late nights, built my reputation from nothing. When Marcus introduced me to his family, they barely listened when I talked about it. They smiled and said, "So you cook?" Like I was a glorified housewife with a Pinterest account. But I kept showing up. To Sunday dinners, holiday parties, birthdays. Every time, I'd end up in the kitchen. Every time, they'd sit around sipping wine while I chopped and stirred and served. Marcus would say, "They love your food. It's a compliment." I told myself the same thing. Then came last Thanksgiving. We drove up to Plano the night before. Trina, Marcus's older sister, greeted us at the door like I was the hired help. Loretta, his mother, was right behind her with a folded sheet of paper, everything she expected me to cook. She'd even scribbled the prep times and order. I didn't argue. I got up at 7 a.m., tied on one of their aprons, and got to work. The kitchen was chaos. Turkey in the oven, pies in rotation, pots boiling, pans flying. They wandered in and out, sipping mimosas, talking over me. Not one offer to help. Around 3 p.m., the table was set. Fine china, polished silver, candles, crystal glasses. I stood back, sweaty, flour on my shirt, and looked at what I made. It was perfect. Then I tried to sit down. Trina was at the head of the table. She looked at me and said it real calm. "Oh no, sweetie. This is for family. We put a spot for you in the kitchen." I laughed. Thought she was joking. She wasn't. There was a small card table with one chair. No place setting. A paper plate and a solo cup. Marcus? He didn't say a word. Just looked away and took his seat. I stood there for a second. Just stood there. Then I walked into that kitchen and sat at the card table. Ate next to the trash can while they toasted each other in the next room. I couldn't taste anything. Couldn't stop shaking. 6 hours I cooked for them. Not a thank you. Not a damn chair at the table. That night, in bed, I turned to Marcus and asked, "Why didn't you say anything?" He didn't even turn his head. "Don't embarrass me. You know your place." I didn't speak again. Just laid there, listening to him snore. And then I got the message. "Darren, Trina's husband. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that." 7 words. And suddenly, I wasn't just humiliated. I was wide awake. I realized I'd spent 3 years trying to earn a seat at a table that was never meant for me. I was never part of their family. I was a convenience. A cook. A trophy Marcus could parade around and then shove into the shadows when it suited him. But they forgot one thing: I pay attention. I don't forget what people say, or what they do when they think no one's watching. And I'd been quiet too long. Darren had no idea what he'd just triggered. This wasn't going to be a fight. It was going to be a reckoning. After Darren's message, I didn't reply. Not right away. I just sat with it. Reread it 5, 6 times. And then I started remembering. The way Trina once came back from a girls' trip to Miami, but her tan lines didn't match the swimsuits she posted on Instagram. The time Loretta got suspiciously quiet when Darren missed her anniversary dinner. The long glances. The little shoulder touches between him and Marcus's cousin, Lisa, at a barbecue last summer. I didn't know exactly what was going on, but I knew there were cracks. Big ones. So I leaned in. 2 days after Thanksgiving, I sent Darren a polite thank you text. "Appreciate your message." "Really?" You're the only one who noticed. I kept it short. Innocent. He responded right away. Too fast. Just being honest. That was messed up. That's when I knew. He wasn't just being nice. He was open. Over the next few weeks, we messaged on and off. Harmless at first. Then not so harmless. Late at night, I'd get you up, texts. I never crossed any lines, but I let him think maybe I would. Just enough. Because I wasn't after him. I was after something bigger. I went digging. I still had access to Marcus's laptop. He never changed his passwords. One night, I checked his email. And, what do you know, he had a private Gmail folder. Inside, screenshots, messages, photos. Marcus had been sleeping with his boss. For months. She was married. He was climbing the corporate ladder. And I had proof. I didn't cry. Didn't scream. I took screenshots. I forwarded everything to myself, then deleted the traces. I checked the dates. He had started cheating the same month I catered his promotion party. That was the turning point. I didn't want revenge anymore. I needed it. The next day, I went to an attorney. Quietly, calmly, I laid it all out. The financials, the infidelity, the messages, the abuse. Texas is a no-fault state, but infidelity could still influence the settlement. I wanted everything documented. Then I got creative. I made a catering proposal. A fake one. From a fake business. Sent it to Trina's office. She worked in corporate event planning. I knew she handled holiday parties. The menu was almost identical to what I cooked on Thanksgiving. I waited. She took the bait. Emailed back asking about pricing. I scheduled a consultation at a local wine bar. Showed up in full makeup, professional binder in hand. She didn't even recognize me at first. When she finally did, she froze. Oh. I thought. I know what you thought, I said, sliding a photo across the table. A photo of her husband and Marcus's cousin, Lisa, in a hotel bar 2 towns over. She looked like she'd swallowed glass. I'm not here to ruin your life, I said. I'm here to end mine with your brother. Clean and quiet. But if your family keeps treating me like dirt, I won't stay quiet. And I won't stay nice. She didn't speak. Just nodded. I stood up, smoothed my coat, and walked out. By Christmas, the separation papers were filed. Marcus was furious. You're blowing this up for what? Because my family hurt your feelings? No, I said. Because you forgot who I am. That was just the start. I moved out on New Year's Eve. I didn't slam doors. I didn't scream. I packed my things while Marcus was at work, left the keys on the counter, and left the house spotless. The only thing I took that wasn't mine was a USB stick from his desk drawer, the one labeled work/private. Inside, tax documents, payroll spreadsheets, and most importantly, billing reports from his firm's clients. Some of those reports didn't add up. At first glance, it looked like he was inflating invoice totals and skimming off reimbursements. I didn't want to believe it. But then again, I also didn't want to believe he could sit quietly while his family told me I wasn't real family. I held on to the USB just in case. In the meantime, I was rebuilding my business, quietly reaching out to old clients, rebranding under a new name, booking small events. One night, I ran into Lisa, the cousin Marcus had been fooling around with. She didn't see me at first. She was arguing outside a bar with a man I didn't recognize. And she was pregnant. That's when I knew Marcus's neat little life was about to explode. But I didn't tell him. I waited. 3 weeks later, Trina called me. Not texted, called. I need to ask you something, she said. Her voice was low, flat. I already knew what it was about. I think Darren's cheating. With your ex's cousin. I saw them. Together. And he's been acting off. I let the silence stretch. You know anything? Yeah, I said. But I told you, if your family keeps treating me like I'm nothing, I won't stay nice. There was a long pause. Then she whispered, please. It was the first time she'd ever said that to me. So I gave her everything. The photos, the texts, the timeline. I gave her names, dates, receipts. Trina didn't cry. She just said, "Thank you." Then she hung up. 3 days later, Darren was out of their house, and Marcus got a furious call from his sister. "He came banging on my apartment door that night," red-faced, yelling. "You trying to turn my family against me?" I didn't flinch. "You did that yourself," he screamed. I let him. Then I handed him a copy of the USB contents. "You might want to get your story straight before your firm starts asking questions." He went pale. I didn't report him, yet. I wanted him to sweat. I wanted him to feel the ground shift beneath him, like I had that day in their kitchen. The final twist came a week later. Lisa's mother called me. "Did you know Marcus got my daughter pregnant?" I didn't say anything. "She says he promised to leave you, that they were starting a life together. But now he won't return her calls." And just like that, I knew the final nail was ready. I didn't tell Lisa's mother anything. I just listened. She was angry, scared, and completely in the dark. Lisa was 6 months along, and Marcus had gone silent. Apparently, he'd promised her the world, an apartment, support, a future, and now he was ghosting her like she was a one-night mistake. I didn't feel sorry for Lisa. She knew he was married. She smiled in my face at family gatherings while sneaking around behind my back. But her mother? She was just trying to hold the pieces together. I could respect that. 2 days later, Marcus showed up at my apartment again. This time, no yelling. No banging. He was calm. Too calm. "Look," he said, standing in the doorway with his hands in his pockets. "This doesn't have to get uglier than it already is." He had that same look he wore when trying to talk himself out of parking tickets. Like everything was just one big misunderstanding. "I need that USB back. It's not what you think." I crossed my arms. "What exactly do I think, Marcus?" "That I'm a thief." His voice dropped to a whisper. "I'm not. I just moved some things around. You know how taxes are messy. I'll fix it. But if that info gets out, I'm done. Fired. Blacklisted. Please." I stared at him. "You didn't say please when your sister made me eat next to a trash can." His jaw clenched. "And you didn't say it when I asked why you let them humiliate me." He shifted, like he wanted to explode but knew he couldn't. "I'm trying to make this right," he said through gritted teeth. "No," I said. "You're trying to survive." That night, I mailed a copy of the USB to a former colleague of his, someone I knew had it out for him. Anonymously. No return address. Let the wolves eat each other. Meanwhile, Trina filed for divorce from Darren. Word got around fast. Dallas isn't that big. She kept it quiet, but people noticed when she stopped showing up to events with him.
She didn't out me.
I think she knew better. Then, the biggest surprise hit me like a punch to the chest. Loretta showed up at my office. My new catering office, small but clean, tucked behind a strip mall. She walked in with her Sunday purse, tight-lipped and cautious. "I need to talk to you," she said. I didn't offer her a chair. She stood there, clutching her hands, and said, "I didn't raise Marcus to treat women like that."
"I'm sorry."
It didn't move me. Not like she thought it would. "Where was that energy on Thanksgiving?" I asked. She looked down. I was wrong. We were all wrong. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out an envelope. "He's going to lose his job. I know it. He won't tell me what happened, but I can feel it." She placed the envelope on my desk. "This is a letter. From me. If you ever need someone to speak on your behalf." I didn't touch it. "You're just trying to save what little reputation your family has left," I said. "No," she said quietly. "I'm trying to make peace before everything crumbles." Then she left. I stared at the envelope for a long time. Didn't open it. Not yet. Because I wasn't done. Not until Marcus felt everything I had felt. Powerless, invisible, betrayed. And his reckoning was just beginning. It all came together faster than I expected. 3 weeks after Marcus begged me for that USB, his firm announced a compliance audit. Internal, but serious. I didn't need to guess who triggered it. His old colleague must have handed over the copy I sent. That's the thing about men like Marcus. They make enemies on the way up and never think they'll need to look over their shoulder on the way down. He was suspended pending investigation. then quietly let go. No public scandal, just enough of a whisper that future employers would hesitate. Dallas's finance world is all backroom handshakes. No one hires someone who might bring heat. I could have stopped there, but I wanted more. I found Lisa's mother again, told her everything I knew about the lies, the promises, the fake apartment search Marcus never followed through on. I showed her the emails, the texts. I didn't frame it as revenge. I told her, "Your daughter deserves child support from someone who tried to erase her."
She cried.
Then she called a lawyer. The suit came fast. Paternity support, everything. Marcus tried to deny it at first, but the DNA test didn't lie. Now he had no job, no reputation, and a monthly court-ordered payment to a woman who hated him. He texted me after the first hearing, "Why are you doing this?" I didn't reply. I let the silence answer him. Then I did one last thing. I catered a charity gala in Highland Park, Trina's crowd, Loretta's friends. I did it under my new brand, with my new staff. The menu? The exact same Thanksgiving spread I made for them. Turkey, dressing, pies, everything. The reviews were glowing. People asked me who taught me to cook like that. I just smiled.
Family, I said.
When Loretta arrived and saw me behind the presentation table, her face drained of color.
She didn't speak.
Just took a bite of cornbread and walked away. I was fine with that. Marcus eventually left Dallas. Moved to Houston, last I heard. Tried starting over. But word follows men like him. Reputation is a fragile thing. One bad whisper, and doors stop opening.
Me?
I rebuilt.
Slowly.
I earned clients, got referrals, expanded. Opened a second kitchen. I stopped trying to belong to people who never made room for me at the table. I made my own. And every time I walk into a venue now, see people gathered around my food, I remember that cold kitchen, that card table, that paper plate. And I smile, not because I forgot, but because I didn't let it end there. I ended it on my terms. And that, right there, was the real revenge.